This next story, folks, is quite an unusual one. Some people might think it sounds like a bit of a B-grade movie, but my guests here believe it is true. They are university-educated professionals running a successful business. They come from Grafton, and they just happen to have spent time inside an alien spaceship when they were kidnapped by extraterrestrials. As I introduce to you, Scott and Wendy Longley. Welcome. It is a most extraordinary story. It's heartfelt for you. Let's start, Scott. It was March this year. You were driving on a road in New South Wales near Casino with your family. What happened with your UFO experience?
All right. It was on the 16th of March of last month. We were travelling from Lismore. We were going home to Grafton. We came upon a small town called Casino. 2.5 k's prior to Casino, I saw these two strong bright lights at the back of the vehicle. And apparently, at the same time, my wife saw some strange lights in the front of the vehicle. There was some time after that, did we speak about these lights. Upon arriving home in Grafton, it was 45 minutes later than a normal trip.
You took 45 minutes longer to get home than you normally would?
That's right. In the morning...
now, you at this stage don't know anything, or you remember these strong lights in the back and in the front?
That's correct.
Okay, in the morning?
Right. In the morning, we all developed colds. My son had long strands of dry mucus from his nose with blood, 4 long strands. I had a very, very large blister on my right big toe. I had a marking at the back of my neck. My wife had sore ovaries. She was very sore in her stomach. This is all on the Sunday. On the Wednesday afternoon in our local paper, there was an article about UFO sightings excuse me, over Grafton on that Saturday night. And with this person's phone number, his name and phone number. Mm-hmm. And upon phoning him up, he came around to our place. And
what happened then, Wendy?
He suggested that we get some hypnotherapy done to try and recall the lost time.
Because you don't remember anything at this stage, you're just not feeling well, colds, etc. So, and you've lost 45 minutes. When you underwent hypnotherapy, what did you discover, Wendy?
We discovered that we'd been picked up, that the car had been taken to the side of the road, and my husband was taken out of the car by 2 aliens, and then I was taken out of the car by 2 more, and my daughter and I were carried off to a field. Scott was laid down behind the car and had his toe inspected.
I go to the back of the vehicle. They laid me down on my stomach. They examined. They put something into the back of my neck with a silver-like staple gun. They turned me around. They inserted something into my right big toe. And then all of a sudden I'm in the spacecraft.
So you went into the spacecraft.
That's right.
All this was discovered under hypnotherapy?
Under hypnotherapy.
So they did tests, experimented on you. Mm-hmm. What did they look like?
All right. You've probably got your norm of your UFOs is your 5 to 6 foot tall UFO.
In fact, we've got some photographs. Was it like this?
Not so much. The eyes were more horizontal, very similar to that. To me, on the 3rd hypnotherapy, now that one to me is very, very evil. Right?
And you actually saw this figure?
Yep.
Okay, what did the spaceship look like? You went into the spaceship?
Right. I went into the spaceship. I went under 3 hypnotherapies, and I went under my 4th this morning to no. That
doesn't look like that one?
No.
Okay. Did it look like this next photograph that we've got coming up? Do you remember the details of the spaceship?
Oh, very plain, yes.
Mm-hmm. Like a cliched saucer, you know, circular and very large and low.
Do you remember being in it as well, Wendy?
Yeah, I do. Mm-hmm. And just lying on a table with faces looking over me, and Scott saw the same figures, like hockey mask figures, if you can imagine a hockey mask. And nasty looking equipment.
How did they communicate with you?
I didn't remember any communication, but Scott was telling me about telepathy.
So they communicated telepathically?
The first time they spoke to me was outside the vehicle. They said to me that we're very lucky people, very nice people, and be kind to your neighbour. I think they know that my neighbour and I argue a lot, maybe. And in the spacecraft, they inserted this long rod through my right eye, and they said that you will feel some pain. And I said, no, I'm not. But it was very discomfort. There was a lot of discomfort. They, again, inserted something into my right big toe. And
Now, this photograph we've got up there, explain.
All right. The one on the top left, very, very friendly. The one on the top right, he carried us out of the car, or carried me out of the vehicle. The one in the bottom left was the moth type, very friendly. The one in the bottom middle, he inserted the rod into my eye, and the one on the right I call Mr. Ant.
Okay. Now, you live in Grafton.
That's correct.
Have you talked to your friends and family in Grafton about this, Wendy?
Some people I have, yeah, and people have been really good actually. Even if they don't maybe believe it fully or accept it, you know, they're pretty good about it.
Now, as I explained, you're both university educated, you run a successful business, you're from a respectable country town, you haven't had any mental illness in the family before now, and you're telling us you're abducted by aliens. Have you gained financially from this story?
No.
Have you sold your story, gained any money whatsoever?
No.
No. All we want to do is, it is very, very hard to understand and very, very hard to believe what we went through unless you have been through it yourself.
What sort of contact have you had with other people about how many other people do you believe have gone through the same exercise?
Many, I think.
Many.
Because so many people would lose time and perhaps not think to chase it up.
Why, Wendy, do you think they chose you?
I have no idea. I think my husband apparently has been picked up before throughout his life.
Which came out through the hypnotherapy.
That's right.
And I think I was just along for the last ride.
In the second hypnotherapy, it came out when I was 4, 8, 14 and now.
And none of those you remember previously?
No, none at all.
Now, a lot of people, when you play the cynic, as I will say, they've been watching too many X-Files.
We keep being asked, do you watch the X-Files? And we've seen a few episodes, but it's not...
How do you react? What would you like to say to people who will go, you know, they're a little on the loopy side, and this is straight out of, you know, a B-grade movie or an X-Files script?
We're not here to gain anything at all. We're only here to tell people what we saw, what we went through as a family, and some will believe, some won't. It doesn't really matter. We just want to tell you, hey, they are out there, and this is what happened to us.
Do you believe they mean to harm, or just experiment, or are curious?
Under the first 2 hypnotherapies, they were very, very nice. I had no problems at all. They gave me a glass of water, so forth. Under the 3rd hypnotherapy, which I went on Saturday morning, completely different story. They were...
Aggressive?
Very much so. Very, very
What
aggressive.
do they want to do on Earth?
I think they're protecting us and checking up on us, like National Parks and Wildlife tagging animals. I think it's the same sort of...
Did you ever believe before March this year about UFOs? What was your belief before that?
Probably like everybody else here. Yeah, maybe not. I'm not too sure, you know.
Grafton might be thinking this is a bit curious.
Probably. It's a bit too close to home, I think, for some people.
What sort of reaction have you had from people in the street? You run your own car design business there.
It's a fledgling one, so we're sort of not dealing with a huge number in the community. But, yeah, I think we've seen a few cynics, but...
Do you expect they will come back for you, Scott?
Well, they told me they were, and after the hit...
You don't
after
want
the
to
third,
move?
I don't want to go back.
No, I don't know yet.
No more. Yeah, don't want to. But they said...
Will you have any control over that?
No.
They will find Scott Longley wherever you are.
That's correct.
Just have to accept that, I
Got to
think.
find a new UBD.
No,
have the chip removed wherever they've hidden it.
Do you think they've planted something in you?
I think they must have. To be able to keep track of people, they'd have to use some system. There's a lady in Brisbane and she's just discovered something in a CAT scan and the doctors won't give her her results because I think they were scared at what they discovered.
Are you paranoid about this for yourselves or your family?
I was before this morning. I had to go under another hypnotherapy just to relax after what I found out after the third hypnotherapy. And I'm okay now, but just have to wait and see.
But you're making no financial gain. You just want to tell people what you felt, what you saw, and you don't mind people thinking it is more than just a little curious.
I think people need to know. They have the right to know.
Well, an interesting story it is, and I think you're very brave to share it with us, and we want to thank you very much. Folks, please thank our guest, Scott and Wendy Longley.